Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Today we're back here with, well, Green Scorpion, and, well, got a new mic. I'm not sure if you can see it. Yeah, you can. Same model, just, like I said, I had to get a new one, because, well, like you said, the other one kind of borked out, because, well, I was talking like a mouse. Hee-hee! No, not Mickey Mouse, before you ask. I didn't plan it, but thanks to you guys noticing, managed to get this one done. So, yeah. And, sorry for the, lack of streams lately. Again, tech issues, so what are you gonna do? Sorry, it's just been bugging, so I got everything under control now, so hopefully next week we'll be back to normal schedules, but for now, enough about that. Let's just get to the Scorpion. Today we got the top 10 video game ninjas. So, I'm not sure if it's going to be like the technical, like, real ninjas, you know, the sneaky stealth assassin types, or the fighting ones. Probably all for one, but we'll see. Well, shall we hop in and see the top ninjas? Be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. Let's check it out. Well, here we go. I'm just gonna count. Let's go. Strike from the shadows. Let's go.
What, were you not expecting a video today? Of course you weren't. They're ninjas.
Fair, and it was April Fool's, by the way, when this came out, so. Hey, Bo.
Konnichiwa, my League of Shadows, the Green Scorpion here, and I finished the script months ago. I've just been waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And I promise this is a real countdown. It's not gonna burst into smoke and reveal a log or something. So a while back, I started my pseudo-remake of the Pirates vs. Ninjas list by listing my top 10 pirates. And I was having a lot of trouble with the other half of that debate because, well, I know a lot more about ninjas now than I did back in 2010. For instance, I know ninjas isn't actually a word. The plural of ninja is ninja. And if we really want to split hairs, which we do, we should really be calling them shinobi, because that's how they would have pronounced their own title back then. The word ninja only became popular in the mid-20th century because the kanji for shinobi can be read multiple ways, and that's only the first layer of what you have to peel back when trying to educate yourself on these enigmatic figures of history. Before we even start, we have to attempt to answer the question of what ninja were, and more importantly, what they weren't. Inspired by the Art of War by Chinese strategist Sun Tzu, specifically Chapter 13, the use of spies, shinobi played a vital role in espionage during the Japanese Sengoku or Warring States period, from roughly 1467 to 1615. While state leaders fought in near-constant civil war, it was the job of a shinobi or ninja to get into enemy territory and steal information through the use of stealth, deception, and force if necessary, though the most successful ninja missions were the ones that you didn't even know happened. Perhaps it's this emphasis on anonymity that makes the shinobi such a murky historical topic. Though they were basically phased out in the following Edo period, the idea of shinobi passed on to Japanese folklore as unparalleled fighters, sometimes even magical in nature. And if it was hard for Japan
if you watch
themselves
Naruto, you know what
fiction, what changed
ideas
the US and Europe have? The 1980s and 90s saw what some refer to as the ninja boom, where black-clad warriors became all the rage in media, and so-called historians made millions peddling tall tales and artifacts as legitimate ninja fare. And with those years being such an important period,
you guys know Gaijin,
you can bet your comma that there's a lot of less than realistic ninja populating our consoles. Only in the past decade has Japanese academia taken a vested interest in authenticating information on their shadowy forebears. And I'm not just talking about Gaijin Goomba, though I'll admit I took a lot of inspiration from his Witch Ninja series for this video. For these entries, I want to find some sort of middle ground. Ninja are better known as expert assassins in our cultural zeitgeist, and I don't want to penalize characters too much for being caught up in the hype. But when possible, I'd like to select the shinobi that connect at least somewhat to actual Japanese history. That means going off of the most accurate sources we can find, like the Bansenchikai and the Ninja Heathen. I'm rewarding stealth and cunning over badass multi-murder here. But we can dip into that dramatized version of ninja history too if we want. I mean, Captain LeChuck is a ghost demon dread pirate and he made number 2 on the pirates list, so why can't the ninja have some fun too? And to clarify one
Fair.
last thing, I'm making a distinction between ninja and samurai, even though historically the two aren't mutually exclusive. Samurai was more of a feudal social class, and in fact,
Basically,
all
the
ninja
samurais
were
were the
working
lords,
as members
ninjas were
of
the
that social
assassins.
class. So basically, all ninja were samurai. But samurai have their own pop culture connotation that I'd like to tackle another day on this channel. Jin Sakai from Ghost of Tsushima, your day will come, just not today.
Sorry, Jin.
But that's enough semantics for
See you
now.
later.
Let's cut to the good stuff. I'm the Green Scorpion, and these are my top 10 video game ninja.
C's first. Bring it on.
My top 5 ninja from the old video really aren't doing me any favors here. Starting off, 3 of the worst culprits for mischaracterizing ninja also happen to be pioneers in video game ninja heroes. Ryu Hayabusa from Ninja Gaiden, Joe Musashi from Shinobi, and Strider Hiryu from Strider. Ryu more or less represented ninja kind on the NES, Joe on the Master System and Genesis, and Hiryu played both sides before sequestering himself in the Capcom Versus roster. But all 3 have one thing in common. They mistake a ninja for a one-man army. Sorry, pseudo ninja fans, but I just can't let these
remember
guys
there
run
were
the list
spies,
again.
not,
I have to narrow
you
it down
know,
to one,
super soldiers.
and for my money, I'm going with Ryu, with what passes for historical accuracy in this tier. Granted, all 3 of these series take place in the modern day or later, rather than the Sengoku period, but Ryu at
as you
least
say,
went to
could be
Spirit
worse.
Halloween to try and dress the part. Hiryu's got that fabulous red scarf on with a purple gi, and Joe, well, unless it snows
Storm
really
Shadow.
hard in the next 10 minutes, you're not fooling anyone. So here's a fun intro-level ninja fact for you. The Bansenshikai, the most faithful real-world ninja manual in existence, describes 2 forms of stealth. Yonin, or open disguise, was thought to be
Basically
the most
dressing
practical,
as civilians.
dressing as a guard or someone who was supposed to be a
What? I watched Witch
Meanwhile,
Ninja.
Inin, disguising to be completely unseen, is more often how stealth works in video games unless you're Agent 47. For Inin, we like to depict ninja wearing black, cause, like, you know, hiding in darkness. But on a natural
Not that
moonlit
one.
night,
It's more of a
black
blue.
garb would ironically be too dark. So the best option would be to wear a dark blue that blends in with the atmospheric low light. Okay, fine, I'll play the clip.
Go ahead. There we go.
And Ryu was
Thank
like
you.
that, at least in the NES days. These platformers have a one-man army problem, but at the very least they depict Ryu's wall scaling skills, which was somewhat groundbreaking
True.
for video games at the time, and very fitting for a ninja trained in infiltration. As a ninja order, the Hayabusa clan is operating about 400 years too late, but the series lampshades this by saying that the clan existed since the Warring States period, and has been shaping the course of history ever since. Sure, Hayabusa, sure. Ryu
Mixed
also
it
has
out
the
there.
most prolific career as a video game character of the 3. Ninja
Dragon
Gaiden saw a
Sword?
reboot series starting on the original Xbox, a trilogy of character action games contemporary with Devil May Cry. For this reboot, Ryu traded in his blue garb for the less accurate black, though I like how the armor gives tribute to the peregrine falcon, the mascot animal of his clan. And clearly, Ryu's not hiding from anyone. Look at those exposed arms. He wants everyone to know that he does CrossFit. Wielding a magical katana that projects dragon fire and cleaves through airplanes, Ryu's a force to be reckoned with, and while ninja weren't hired for their swordsmanship, I can say this game's difficulty is at least accurate to how fucked a ninja would be if they had to resort to trading blows. And to his credit, Ryu's proficient with a number of deadly tools besides a sword, including shurikens, sickles, and to my delight, a bow and arrow. We don't see it enough in games, but archery was a popular talent for the shinobi. Plus, you've got
And
nunchucks
samurai,
and
too.
a lot
Don't
of the
forget
other
that.
stuff that we saw ninja using in the 80s movies. On a subtler note, I dig his personality. In all of these cutscenes with larger-than-life villains and emotionally distraught allies, Ryu has this perfect professional composure that kind of makes him feel like he's from the 1500s. And he's not bad at fisticuffs either, perfectly willing to throw hands in the
alive
Dead or
there.
Alive series. He may have all the
think he actually
subtlety
won a
of an
tournament
eagle crashing through a window, but Ryu exemplifies the common conceptions of ninja while also including a few historic tidbits. And I kind of like the fact that my previous top ninja ever is now the gatekeeper for this list. Man, I've come far.
Yep. Helps to know some historical context nowadays. Number 9?
We think of Ryu as one of the first ninja in gaming, but number 9 goes to a character who's been around even
Sheikah.
longer.
Okay.
Just not always as a ninja. And not necessarily as the same person either, depending on how you think about it. The history of Hyrule features recurring incarnations of Link and Zelda, but almost as often we get
hi,
a
Impa.
woman named Impa serving as Zelda's closest confidant. In the NES game, she was the princess's elderly nursemaid. Ocarina of Time gave us Impa the bodyguard and introduced the concept of the Sheikah clan, an order of ninja operating in the shadows of the Hyrulean royal family, and from then on, all incarnations of Impa are members of this organization. Whether she's reincarnating or it's just a popular name in Sheikah culture is anyone's guess. But if there's
I'm willing to bet it's the reincarnation.
There's
Be
an
cool.
Impa nearby, even if you don't see her at first.
True.
Ocarina of Time's Impa also has a distinction of teaching ninjutsu to Zelda while she's in her disguise as Sheik, who I also considered for this list based solely on her Smash appearances. Both Impa and Sheik utilize Deku Nuts as a natural flashbang to cover their escape, and Impa even becomes the Sage of Shadows, which is just the coolest ninja title I've ever heard. Not every Impa appearance screams Shinobi, however. Oracle Impa looks like she'd do better in the Scottish games.
I think it went from Sage
awesome
to more ninja nowadays.
Hyrule Warriors appearance, where at least her weaponry leans more on the East Asian side with a Naginata and what I can only call a Zabuza sword. Breath of the Wild gave us a straight-up Sheikah culture that really embodies the shinobi arts. They wear purple and lilac, though I'm willing to say that's just an artistic choice that's close enough to the good old ninja blue. And fun fact,
it's close.
The Sheikah and their rival clan, the Yiga, are highly reminiscent of the Iga and Koga, two ninja clans named for their home regions that served the Tokugawa shogunate, but were often at odds with each other. Like their Zelda counterparts, these clans were on the cutting edge of certain forms of technology, particularly the Iga with pyrotechnics, and the leader of the Yiga clan is even named Koga. Breath of the Wild maybe isn't the best showcase for Impa herself, who looks about as good as can be expected for 120 years old. But then we have Age of Calamity, which takes place a century earlier and gives us the full ninja Impa we always wanted. And she looks like her granddaughter Paya. That is adorable.
That it does.
Concealable kunai over a bulky sword, Impa's got one of the most fun playstyles thanks to her use of a cartoon ninja staple, shadow clones. Or energy clones in this case. And let's talk about that for a moment. Why do we seem to think that ninja can multiply like Billy Numerous? Bushi no Jutsu, or the art of the doppelganger, is an addition to ninja lore after their time in the Sengoku period, likely inspired by the accounts of samurai who had to deal with a particularly tricky ninja. Ninja were masters of misdirection, good at making you think that they went one way and dashing off in the other. The only reasonable explanation was that they had somehow duplicated themselves.
Oh, it's mostly just them moving fast enough,
or magic.
It's either fast enough, or in this case,
extremely powerful iPad. By
double
marking
body
opponents
double
and then hitting them with
sometimes.
certain attacks, Impa can produce up to 8 energy clones, ramping up the slicey dicey chaos. It might not be true to reality, but it
A lot
is
of
true
talismans,
historical
too.
fantasy. If you want realism, though, try the Iga-style explosive barrels. She's also got the ninja
Bubble.
riding a kite trope, a reference that dates back to an aerial attack by a folklore ninja named Genzo. I honestly hate this trope, but at least
I don't
Impa's
even think that's
actually
reality,
raining down
because
explosives
ain't
like
no
in the
way that's
original
possible.
legend,
You know, someone
and
as
at
light
least
as a ninja.
gliders are an established thing in Hyrule. You do still have to accept that this supposed ninja is facing hundreds of enemies in open combat. That's what you get for being in a Musou game. But there's one very fitting through line with all of these versions of Impa and the Sheikah as a whole. They are information gatherers, and they are damn good at it. Even in her smallest appearances, Impa's giving Link the DL with secrets she learned God knows how. You also got the Sheikah stones that exist purely as a messaging system only friends of the clan can read. And even in her
the Sheikah
geriatric
mask.
years,
I
Impa's
see.
traveling the kingdom, the monster-infested post-upheaval kingdom, to decipher the truth about these dragon tears. You might not have talked to her much, but she probably figured out where Zelda was long before you did. So
Sounds
whether
about
you
right.
want the fun anime multiplying ninja or the textbook espionage ninja, there's an Impa for that.
Yep, to each their own in your favor. Next, number 8. From Zelda?
You'll notice I'm name dropping way less in this list. By this point in Top 10 Pirates, I'd already mentioned Stede Bonnet and Jean Lafitte. The problem is that there aren't nearly as many famous ninja, at least not that were positive existed. A good ninja is like a good stage crew in theater. If you did it right, no one knows you're even there. And a lot of good ninja were peasants, which history isn't always interested in recording. There's
that sounds about right.
Goemon, a Robin Hood figure that inspired the enormous Goemon video game franchise.
But that's
as the series
more
goes,
kabuki.
it gets less and less about being a ninja. No, for the most
True.
part, ninja were nobodies. Faceless. Shadows. The ninja is a recurring role in the Final Fantasy series. There's the upgraded thief in Final Fantasy 1, the ninja job in Final Fantasy 3 and 5, and you have characters like Edge and Yuffie. But for
Though
my
I don't
guild,
think those
the
count.
best is Final Fantasy VI's Shadow. He's
Hi,
certainly
Shadow.
the most enigmatic of the category. He's wearing all black, but in his concept art there are blue undertones, so I'd like to think that this is just a very dark blue outfit.
Real ninja wear blue.
The main feature for Final Fantasy Ninjas
does look
is
blue
the
when you look
throw
at it.
ability, and Shadow is no exception. Using a consumable item will cause Shadow to yeet it at his enemies, dealing massive damage even if Shadow's in the back row. These can be magic scrolls to do elemental damage, knives, darts, staves, even swords if you want to be funny. But the most common application is to buy shuriken, which come in a few varieties here. So what were shuriken really? These throwing stars are among the most common accessories for ninja in media, and yes, they were quite popular with shinobi historically. Thing is that they weren't as lethal as you've been led to believe. They were mostly utility, a small sharp object that can be used for climbing, digging, hooking things to walls, or throwing to make a distracting noise. If you were to fight with them, you might be better off holding them like punching daggers. Either way you slice it though, they're not going to deal more damage than a sword or a knife. Also, while there are a variety of different shuriken designs out there, the giant Fuma or pinwheel shuriken are complete works of fiction. But I understand the meta reasons for making them so strong. You're spending a resource throwing them away, so you're rewarded with more damage than just swinging your sword that never dulls or breaks. I still think that's stupid, but I just had to get that rant out. Anyway, what is cooler and potentially more authentic is Shadow's dog, Interceptor. This debonair Doberman can jump in and block attacks or randomly counter enemies, acting almost like a fifth party member. And yeah, Ninja had dogs, called Ninken. Guard dogs were one of the most common defense mechanisms in feudal Japan, and the Bansenshi was full of tips to pacify or even befriend enemy guard dogs on your way to stealing their stuff. So naturally, these skills were put towards training their own puppers. But what I like most about Shadow is how he lives his life. He's a man of mystery. He's a mercenary at heart, and while you normally expect Ninja to serve a certain feudal lord or clan,
not all the time.
Shadow just takes his jobs freelance. The first time he's playable is when Saban hires him to help sneak through an Empire military base. That's a very ninja job. Though technically Saban's not the one paying for Shadow, but it is up to you to outfit him, and he's taking that stuff with him when he leaves. That's pretty transactional. Then he shows up hired for your trip to the floating continent, hired by the Emperor. And he's very good at protecting his identity. He has a backstory, he just never tells the party. And for that matter, many players go through this game without even seeing it. He's actually Realm's missing father, which is why Interceptor likes Realm so much. But you wouldn't know this for sure unless you caught these dream sequences that he can have when he stays at the inn. That's on top of the fact that he's the easiest party member to lose forever. For those who've never played Final Fantasy VI and want to give it a shot, wait for Shadow at the continent, just saying. Dude was a thief whose life of crime caught up with him, and now he's cut himself off from human connections because knowing him is too dangerous. And even after saving the world, he holds himself to that principle, dying alone in Kefka's crumbling tower while the others escape. As I stated earlier, the greatest ninja in history are the ones we don't know about. Emerging from darkness, returning to darkness. That's the life of a Shadow.
Yeah, and actually the whole thing about, Shinobi, aka the ninja, they're meant to endure. So, them going direct conflict, that's not their thing. Hence why there's more of a, spy and all. Not one-man army. I mean, just watch Witch Ninja, you'll get a more detailed explanation there. But again, it depends on your interpretation. Anyway, number 7 coming up. Sorry, sometimes these things take a while.
On the topic of Squaresoft RPGs with large playable casts
Yeah,
originally on the Super Famicom,
wait, no, wait, that's
how
Live
about the
Alive.
cult classic Live Alive? Live Alive?
Pretty sure it's Live Alive, I don't know.
I'm gonna go with the first one, but if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. The long-lost grandfather to games like Octopath Traveler, Live Alive tells 8 different stories in 8 different time periods, one of them being the twilight of Edo, Japan. Don't worry, I'll get into the significance of that exact phrase later, but for now, this story puts you in the tabi of Oboromaru, who's been tasked by his shinobi clan
I call him
rescue
Strider
an
here.
influential politician being held prisoner in an elaborate mountainside castle. It's about as pure a ninja scenario as you could hope for. You're dropped into this big complex, specifically dropped by a big ninja kite, and it's up to you to scope out the area and decide how to proceed, and by extension, deciding how accurate of a ninja you want to be. Oboromaru's no slouch with a sword, and you can hack and slash your way through every enemy you see, or you can practice restraint and sneak your way in. Most likely you'll land somewhere in between, but the option also presents 2 natural challenges.
There are unavoidable fights,
complete
mostly with the yokai in there.
The other for a true pacifist run. Either way is a hell of a challenge, requiring you to learn the building's layout forwards and back, with quite a bit of trial and error. Or, amusingly, Oboromaru can just leave, in which case you'll be hunted down like the deserter dog you are. This is simultaneously the best and the worst chapter in the game. I love this open-endedness, but damn is the pacifist run frustrating. Oboro at least has a really handy stealth technique, the shadowed self art. You've seen this cliche in cartoons before. The ninja holds up a big cloth painted to look like part of the wall, and guards walk by like Wile E. Coyote, none the wiser. I know it's cartoonish, but this is actually a real technique discussed in the Ninja Heathen. Just normally, the cloth is monocolor, but in a time before electric light bulbs, this was totally viable. Especially at a distance when guards don't know that there's an infiltrator present. Oboromaru's
they're
version
mostly
is
like
just a little
candlelight in
ridiculous.
this case.
I mean, it's straight up the invisibility cloak, and I'm pretty sure it makes him intangible as well. The confused security can walk right into him, and he'll be just fine until their object permanence runs out and they go back to their usual business. Despite this downright broken ability though, you've got your work cut out for you. The enemies have their own shinobi who've decked the place out with traps, and even if you're not killing people, you'll still get into fights with clockwork puppets and malignant yokai. Learn the guards' passwords that change every in-game hour, free Goemon, yes, that Goemon, from the dungeon, and track down the Koban that he scatters around for you as a reward.
Sakamoto?
And don't talk to the geisha, they have nothing for you. At least until the end, when this maid might reward you for non-violence with a sash and a medicine box. Fun bit of ninja history here. While there were many, many tools and weapons described in the Bansenchikai and the Ninja Heathen, the Shoninki, the third most reliable ninja manual ever documented, defines 6 must-have items that every shinobi should carry, collectively called the Rokugu. And 2 of the Rokugu are a cloth, or sash, and a medicine box, which along with the hook and ropes that Oboro uses to cross the rafters, hits 3 of the 6. And so you and the prisoner reach the evil Lord Ode-io, an entity of evil related to Live Alive's overarching narrative. He turns into a frog demon that might be a reference to Jiraiya, and in the end, the prisoner reveals himself to be Sakamoto Ryoma, and this is where the time frame gets really interesting. Sakamoto was a very important politician at this time, and though he was assassinated by his naysayers, his ideas were central in the end of the Edo period and the start of the Meiji Restoration, where Japan was re-centralized under imperial rule and ended its centuries-long isolation from foreign trade, for better or for worse. What we're seeing
worse
here
for World War
is
II,
a lot of
if you know what I
Japanese
mean.
history collapsed into a single story. At first, the title of this chapter was a historical red flag to me. Ninja like Oboro's Enma clan shouldn't be active during the Edo period, let alone its
Keyword Twilight, though.
The story of a ninja rescuing a hostage future leader is more akin to the emancipation of Tokugawa Ieyasu during the Sengoku era. But with cameos from Ishikawa Goemon and the ghost of Miyamoto Musashi,
here,
and this ending with Sakamoto as we watch the sun rise on a brighter Japan, I can see this is more of a fantastic historical what if. Sakamoto even invites Oboromaru to retire from ninjadom and become his right-hand man, a choice given to the player, and if you choose to join him, you're told in the epilogue that Oboromaru actually protected Sakamoto from the assassination attempt. Furthermore, if you succeeded in your pacifist run, Sakamoto rewards Oboro with the Mutsunokami, a sword named for its famous blacksmith, the same sword Sakamoto notably had with him when he died. You gotta admit, that's pretty awesome. Oboromaru can then take that sword and any special reward equipment with him into the endgame, where all the heroes join together to save the space-time continuum. And Oboromaru is a must-have party member for this section. Not for his badass Mutsunokami, not for the Muramasa that you can also get, but for his incredible ninja magic. Okay, that's not exactly authentic, but stay with me. Ever wonder why shows like Naruto love to give ninja powers over natural elements? The Bansenchikai actually urges its students to master these elements, not by bending them like the Avatar, but understanding how they work and working around them. So yeah, a ninja could
basically
use a
hiding
Chidori,
underwater,
but they could see
using the
lightning
cover
in
of
the
lightning.
distance, predict a crash of thunder was coming, and use it to cover a maneuver that would otherwise be too noisy. A ninja couldn't trap you in a water prison, but they could throw a rock into a lake and let the ripples misdirect their pursuers into thinking that they jumped in. It's like with their supposed duplication powers. These techniques
Basically,
grew
elemental
into tall
escapes.
tales from samurai saying that there were men commanding the forces of nature. And by the Edo period, ninja in folklore had become akin to wizards. Oboromaru's Ice Blast and Flaming Mods may not be accurate to history, but it is accurate to what ninja were culturally to the Edo people. And that's just really cool. Oboromaru is without question the best long-range fighter in the game, better than the guys with psychic powers and actual guns. So yeah, there's a lot of crazy, but all the ninja stuff is here with Oboromaru. It's just made more colorful, like a beautiful HD remake. And speaking of which, get the Live Alive HD remake. More people gotta play this game.
Be at peace.
Please do. I'm greedy. You gotta try it. Number 6.
Welcome to the League of Legends Champion Spotlight.
Here it comes
featuring-
again.
Well, we actually have a few options here. Among the city-states of
Take a
Runeterra
choice.
is Ionia, where Riot puts all of its East Asian-inspired characters, Shaolin monks, Wandering Ronin, Kakadish Kitsune, and a group of ninja called the Kinko Order that works to maintain spiritual balance in the region. Chief among their ranks is a trio of expert shinobi, the Eye of Twilight Shen, the Fist of Shadow Akali, and the Heart of the Tempest Kennen. Plus, we later meet their arch-nemesis, Zed, the Master of Shadows. So which one of these is the most ninja? Well, it's not Shen. That dude's a walking, screaming fridge with legs.
Nope.
And Kennen's a straight-up Pikachu god of lightning.
Pikachu!
I know I just explained how Oromaru's elemental magic is perfectly ninja, but there's a difference between flaming moths and slicing maelstroms.
True.
I could make an exception for Zed, because shadows are a ninja's bread and butter. Plus, he uses them to make literal shadow clones. But in a surprise twist,
So it's the Fist of Shadow?
Akali got an update that I think made her the most interesting ninja for this list. Let's start
Shall
with the
we?
lore.
Go
The
ahead.
daughter of a former Fist of Shadow, Akali was always favored to take up that mantle in the Triumvirate. She started her training from a very young age, particularly with Kennen. Akali didn't have the aptitude for magic like he had, but she did emulate his quick movement and accuracy with kunai and shuriken. But her weapon of choice was a kama, a Japanese sickle, which actually was a very common weapon for a shinobi. To many, it was more practical than a sword, since it was easier to conceal
Yeah,
and
the hook
roll for
design
a
and all.
hack. Plus, it's a farming tool, so it didn't necessarily alert guards if the ninja was disguised. Now, with all of my talk of a ninja's role as spies, it might sound weird that the Kinko ninja were dedicated to preserving balance, but many ninja orders were quite spiritual. In fact, the Ninja Heathen's first few chapters talk about Buddhism and preparing shinobi to conduct themselves with tranquility and inner peace. Before learning the physical
Mostly through
acumen,
meditation
a
and all.
shinobi first had to find emotional balance, so the Kinko totally check out for me. This is why a lot of Ionian characters' abilities use energy,
Yeah, that's actually
not
why they do
mana.
the hand
It's all
signals.
about that key.
Pretty much
But this comes
meditation.
with the Kinko being very discerning about when they involve themselves in political affairs, causing some friction between Akali and Shen. When Noxus invaded Ionia, Akali felt the order was too passive and hesitant, and ended up leaving the Kinko over it. This coincided with a complete rework of the champion, turning Akali from the Fist of Shadow into the Rogue Assassin. Plenty of League champions have seen reworks that change up their playstyle, visual design, and title, but rarely are these reworks canonical, like the character actually underwent a huge change in their life.
Huh,
Curiously,
makes sense.
the only other example I can think of is Gangplank, the guy we put on the pirates list. Akali's role in the meta was always as an assassin, so leaning into that with her backstory makes sense. And I know, ninja weren't assassins by trade, that was never their assigned mission.
No,
But if
remember,
killing someone was
spies.
the fastest way to complete their mission, they certainly weren't above it. Akali's moves have always lent themselves to the assassin role, but the rework really ups her mobility and encourages the player to use confusion and misdirection. Her 5-point
It's
strike
ninja.
throws a volley of kunai that don't just damage but slow her targets, and her shuriken flip puts some distance between her and her target, and if the shuriken hits, it can be recast to dash her right up to the target. So right away, I like that these throne-bladed weapons are more about utility rather than killing on their own, unlike Shadow's nuclear warhead shuriken.
Makes sense.
Akali's passive applies the assassin's mark on anyone hit with her abilities. Moving a certain distance away from a marked target increases the damage and range of Akali's next attack, thanks to this neat chain attachment on her Kama. You can see a lot of guerrilla tactics with Akali. Her ultimate is a powerful dash through her enemies, which if it lands can also be cast a second time to deal even more damage that scales off of her missing HP. It's the perfect finishing move for sure, but by far Akali's most infamous asset is the Twilight Shroud, a lingering smoke bomb that Akali can hide in. You've seen plenty of ninja smoke in media, and Shinobi had quite a few different ways to achieve this. Flashbangs, burning incense, hollowed out eggshells full of
Or in
pepper,
Zelda,
powdered
the Deku
glass.
Shrub.
Ninja really love throwing stuff that blinds you. And Twilight Shroud goes above and beyond.
Mostly at their opponent's
As long as she
eyes.
doesn't attack, she's invisible in there. It even used to hide her from towers. They had to patch that out real quick. All of these abilities are full of extra flourishes that boost different stats or restore energy that make playing Akali extremely cerebral. Playing against Akali is an exercise in stress management. She usually goes mid lane where she can grief mages out of much needed experience, and once the early game is over, you never know when she's gonna take a trip down the river and bury a Kama in your back. You just gotta assume she's always there. And once she's on your tail, you better kill her quick because she won't let you catch her and she won't let you leave. She does so much flipping and approaching from different directions, and Yeah, I'm starting to understand why guards thought ninja could multiply. This is like Hiryu's Ragnarok with less cutscene. And while this rework was all in all good for this killer Kunoichi, I want to end with the biggest loss to her character, the inverse law of ninja. You know that rule in movies where one ninja is really scary but armies of ninja are sword fodder? Well, Shen, Akali, Kennen, and Zed would get a joke debuff if they were on the same team, lowering their max HP by a single point for each additional ninja.
Seriously?
I know it was a gag, but why did they remove this? Did Akali players complain? Guys, she doesn't need that extra hit point. She's OP as it is.
Fear the assassin with no master.
Sounds right, but yikes. Anyway, number 5.
The jungling and ganking gameplay of a MOBA leaves enough wiggle room for a ninja to act like ninja. But that's a lot harder to do in a fighting game. Ninjas saw combat as a last resort, and fighting games are all about locking you into combat. And yet, basically every fighting game has a ninja character, and a lot of them end up being very popular. Ibuki from Street Fighter, Bang Shishigami from BlazBlue, Chip Zanna from Guilty Gear, Mai Shiranui from King of Fighters, Raven from Tekken, Taki from Soul Calibur. But doesn't being in these games basically mark them as a failed ninja? That's a justification I use when narrowing down this list. But then I got to Samurai Showdown, and I saw the name Hattori Hanzo, and I knew I'd have to do some deeper research. Savvy gamers might recognize the name from tons of other ninja media, including Samurai Warriors, Nobunaga's Ambition, Sengoku Basara, Shogun Total War, Assassin's Creed, not to mention Hanzo being the name of a ninja in Overwatch, Suikoden, Shining Force, and another franchise I'll get to in a bit. Well, Hattori Hanzo was a real figure in history. Or rather, he was several figures in history, and I've secretly been referencing him throughout this entire video. The head of that Iga clan I mentioned?
That's him.
Hanzo. The writer of the Ninja Heathen that I've been quoting?
Hattori Hanzo.
Hattori Hanzo. The guy who saved Tokugawa Ieyasu and partially inspired Oboromaru's chapter in Live Alive? Hattori Hanzo. Hattori was actually a family name, and Hanzo was a title given to every head of the Iga clan. So that's why it can get a bit confusing as to who did what. But needless to say, these men are a cornerstone in shinobi history, and Hanzo in Samurai Showdown represents yet another in this noble ninja lineage, and a pretty faithful one at that story-wise. Hanzo is mentioned to be a part of the Iga clan, and in most games, his story involves following orders from the Tokugawa shogunate. These orders usually involve hunting down a demon, but the chain of command is textbook. Personality-wise, Hanzo is the kind of man that takes his job very seriously. Like Ryu Hayabusa, he's very respectful and professional around peers and superiors, though in combat he can get a little brash and will taunt his opponents while they're down. I really like this grit to his character. Kinda feels like something out of Sun Tzu, getting in their head and making them angry. If you can control how they feel, you can predict what they'll do. Or in fighting game terms, tilt them like a pinball machine and it's all over. His moveset in battle is a lot of the usual ninja fare. Not that he's the only ninja in the roster, but the other two, Galford and Earthquake, are both Americans who moved to Japan and took up ninjutsu, so Hanzo ends up feeling the most authentic. Samurai Showdown also has more weight to it than a lot of other fighting games, which to me makes Hanzo feel more realistic. Like, he's very skilled to be pulling off these moves without it looking unrealistically easy. He's the only guy in the roster
weird with the shoulder pads,
and the damage isn't all that good, but it's fittingly more of a disorientation poke tool. He uses a sword, but fittingly, it's a short blade that's easily sheathed and hidden. And like I mentioned in the Impa section, the Iga clan loved bombs. If ninja were masters of elements, the Iga clan in particular were masters of fire. Iga museums are full of tools like flashbangs, firecrackers, wooden cannons, and full-on hand grenades that the Iga developed themselves. So those bombs,
you were right. They developed guns
super special
and cannons too.
Believe it or not, historically accurate. As for his less practical moves, I talked about how teleportation and Bushi no Jutsu might have started, but he's got the Izuna drop, another famous ninja cliche. Tons of ninja from Ninja Kirby to Rock Lee to Ryu Hayabusa himself have all been seen using this glorified suplex that, from what I can tell, comes from a 1960s manga, Ninja Kamui Gaiden. And you know how this song and dance goes. If an image in one manga gets very famous, a year later it's in every manga. Seriously, how many Akita bike slides have you seen in anime? So like the duplication, I give the backdrop a pass. It's not traditional ninja, in fact it actually originated from wrestling, but it is pop culture. But there are two details about Hanzo that really
I don't think even nowadays people do those spinning drops.
Armor. It's black, so, you know.
Real Ninja Red Blue.
And while ninja might wear light chainmail under their robes if the chance of fighting was high on a mission, Hanzo's sporting heavy plates and pauldrons. Clearly it doesn't stop him from jumping like a cricket, but isn't all that weight and clanging counterintuitive? And the second thing is that while Hanzo working for the Tokugawa is accurate for the 1500s, these games take place in the late 1700s. Is this another Live Alive situation where they mashed up a bunch of Japanese history together like ninja action figures?
Wouldn't be surprised.
I think these two inconsistencies actually do explain each other. Again, Hattori Hanzo was the name of many Iga clan leaders. This doesn't have to be the Hattori Hanzo or his son or grandson. And notably,
that's a point.
Some of the most famous Hanzos, like the one who saved Tokugawa Ieyasu's life, weren't full-time ninja anyway. In fact, Hattori Hanzo Masanari was a samurai general and tactician, who also just happened to serve as Iga clan head. And in the Edo period, which includes the late 1700s, ninja were no longer being used for espionage, but the Iga clan still existed as a more traditional military battalion, wearing heavier armor and not necessarily employing stealth at all. So if we think of
as
Sam
they
Sho's
say,
Hattori
you
Hanzo
gotta change with
as
the
being a
times, otherwise you get
descendant
left
of the
behind.
Sengoku era Hanzo, he goes from being kind of inaccurate to extremely accurate. A special
At least
forces
in the
general
context of the
who
Iga
happens
clan.
to know a ton of old ninja techniques passed down by his clan and family. And once you make a realization like that, what choice did I have but to put the man at the top half of the list? He'd probably climb up there anyway. You might as well open the door for him.
Here's what I just said. You're like, before next? Oh, your discretion. Oh boy.
When it comes to fighting games, even Sam Show can't claim to have the best ninja. I'm afraid that honor goes to the Mortal Kombat series.
Here we go.
Where ninja come in every color of the rainbow. Talk about mastering the elements.
I wonder which
the
one.
original motion capture MK
But if I had to
game
guess,
used any excuse
Scorpion?
to swap this
Let's
generic
see.
ninja model into different Pokemon types. The green one has poison, the
Reptile.
purple one has water. But from
Right.
day one, the favorites of the roster were the rivals Sub-Zero and Scorpion. So which do we choose? Well, if you watch the original Pirates vs. Ninjas countdown, Sub-Zero was the winner. So it only makes sense that I returned the ninja crown to...
Lin Kuei are not ninjas.
Oh.
Oh.
Well, okay then. Yeah, you need to recall that Mortal Kombat was created during the 90s ninja boom by two Americans that, by their own admission, didn't know shit about Asian history and just thought that
Oops.
ninja were cool. If it looked like a ninja, they called it a ninja. Their game, their rules. But somehow, Sub-Zero was smarter than his creators and renounced that title, and rightfully so. Both Bi-Han, the original Sub-Zero, and his brother Kuai Liang, who later took the mantle, are assassins of the Lin Kuei, a Chinese precursor to ninja. I did say at the beginning that ninja were inspired by Sun Tzu's writings, but funnily enough, there might have actually been a real Lin Kuei in Chinese history who did espionage, but it didn't really become the ninja arts, shinobi arts until it came to Japan, where Scorpion happens to hail from.
Hanzo.
So I guess Scorpion takes the prize here. And what's Scorpion's real name? Hanzo.
Yep.
How about that?
Hanzo Hasashi was born into the Shirai Ryu ninja clan, one of those secret modern-day ninja clans that claims to have shaped history. Yeah, the Mortal Kombat world just has those. And the Mortal Kombat world also has a necromancer named Quan Chi,
Yep.
who manipulated the Lin Kuei into wiping out the Shirai Ryu, killed Hanzo's family, and blamed it all on Bi-Han. So Scorpion killed Bi-Han, Kuai
Oops.
Liang swore revenge, and this began one of the greatest feuds in video game history. Ice versus Fire, China versus Japan, Sub-Zero versus
The
Scorpion.
Scorpion.
Even before his life became a revenge arc, Scorpion was a shinobi of unparalleled skill. His codename came from his deadly precision with his weapon of choice, the
Kunai with chain.
and this is one of the best, if not the best choice for a ninja weapon. Going back to the Rokubu, no ninja should be without a grappling hook. But what that grappling hook's made of is up to the shinobi. Any sharp metal object on a tether will do, so it bodes well
Just
that
as long
Scorpion
as it's not coming out
always
of sand
has this
again.
tool on him. In fact, in some iterations, it's grafted into his skin.
Ew.
Gross. The Shoninki then goes on to describe ways that this grapple can be used in combat situations, wrapping up opponents and sticking them with the pointy bit. And I'm guessing Scorpion has this chapter bookmark in his bedside table. It's his signature move, pulling enemies up close and personal
Get
to
over
fight
here.
close quarters. He's also got that teleportation and fire like the Iga clansman that he was named after. Though there's a bit more of the old ninja razzle-dazzle powering that. So did I mention that when Scorpion's clan was killed, he was killed too?
Oops.
and he kind of went to hell, and he was so mad that he kind of came back as a spirit of vengeance. Yeah, Quan Chi resurrected him to be his personal hitman, so those aren't just flashbangs and firecrackers going
Nope,
off.
that's
Those
his
flames are real, and it's pure hellfire. And that's not just misdirection that makes him seem to disappear. He's opening portals to the nether realm. With a lot of ninja on this list, ninja doesn't have to be their whole thing. Sometimes it's just a baseline. A Kali is what would happen if a ninja left her order to become an assassin. Hattori Hanzo is what would happen if a ninja descendant was also a military general. And Scorpion is if a ninja died and then came back as freaking Ghost Rider. He's got incredible ninja skills, and he's got demon underlings that do his bidding. And get this, even this is not without historical precedent. The most famous Hattori Hanzo, Iga clan leader and general for the Tokugawa shogunate, was so ruthless in his scorched earth tactics that he was known by his enemies as Oni no Hanzo, translated as Demon Hanzo. And coincidentally, he'd see his own Iga clan similarly massacred by the ever-ambitious Oda Nobunaga. So he had a lot to be angry about. And while historic sources say that he lived his final years retired as a monk, some folklore says that he met his end at the hands of another ninja, Fuma Kotaro, in an epic Mortal Kombat.
Damn.
It's like Ed Boon and John Tobias accidentally wrote a real ninja story. Scorpion's endless struggle with Sub-Zero is some of the best drama in Mortal Kombat's illustrious history. In the original timeline, Scorpion comes to really regret killing Bi-Han and vows to protect his little brother, doubly so when he finds out that Quan Chi was behind it all. Kuai Liang never realizes this and keeps trying to kill Scorpion to avenge his big brother, and Scorpion doesn't explain himself because, well, he's the last person to tell someone to forgive. He literally gave his soul to seek vengeance. Even when Raiden time travels and tries to stop Scorpion, the dude's just too mad and kills Bi-Han again, only in this second timeline, Hanzo and Liang eventually talk it out, and after 20 years, these two make a vow and become friends. As Tokugawa Ieyasu once said to Hattori Hanzo, even a demon can shed tears.
Yep.
And then the timelines reset again, reminding fans that following continuity is a Sisyphusian effort.
Thanks,
This
Luke.
third timeline was created by Ascended God Boy Liu Kang, who writes reality to be a little kinder to his friends, and oddly enough, Bi-Han is still alive as Sub-Zero, Kuai Liang leaves the Lin Kuei to found the Shirai Ryu, and becomes Scorpion. And Hanzo, apparently born later than everyone else now, is a child that joins as Liang's student.
Wow.
Okay, devs, whatever you say. I'm tired.
That's
Glad
Mortal
to see you
Kombat
can
1
take
for
the
you.
man out of the Ninja Clan, but you cannot take the Ninja Clan out of the man. Death, forgiveness, rewritten history, no matter what, that shinobi lifestyle keeps pulling him in. Like a well-aimed rope dart.
Yep. Adios. Nice.
Fatality. Scorpion wins.
You gotta love it. And yeah, honestly, I kind of like the whole Demon Hanzo, which, wow, badass name if I ever heard one. Which you gotta love, right? Anyway, so we're on to the final three. So we got Scorpion in the fourth. So let's see who's taking the top spots.
Flawless victory.
Victory. Let's go.
Being a ninja was a job requiring high skills at high stakes, and many ninja games embody that, even the less accurate ones. These
True.
are hard games that expect a lot from you, and the only solution is to get good. So I thought we'd take a look at the poster boy for Get Good Games, the Soulsborne series.
Oh yeah,
there are some
Sekiro,
fans
right?
who might take offense to me,
I
including
think that was the wrong
Sekiro
game,
Shadows
right?
Die Twice in the Soulsborne library, but it is made by FromSoft and clearly shares a lot of its DNA with Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring.
Okay.
And interestingly, the ways in which it differs are the ways in which it's more of a ninja game. Our hero is Wolf, also known as Sekiro, because
There you go.
even before he became a ninja, the boy was smart enough not to give people his real name. An orphan taken in by the Ashoka clan, Wolf trains with his other animal-named mentors, Owl and Lady Butterfly, until he's old enough to accept the important task of protecting a divine heir named Kuro. It's not infiltration, but like Impa, it's common to see ninja
Bodyguards,
appointed
too.
as protectors of political figures in these stories, because to paraphrase Sun Tzu, no one's more suited to defend a target than a person who knows how they'd attack them. You gotta counter ninja with ninja. Unfortunately,
Yep.
Wolf was countered with better ninja and killed in a vicious double cross, but Kuro has divine dragon blood, which he was able to share with Wolf to make him semi-immortal. And that's
Keyword
why
semi.
Shadows dies so many times. Wolf's soon to be back on his feet with only a missing arm for his troubles, which he replaces with a badass prosthetic full of extra ninja tools. The name Sekiro actually is a play on the kanji for missing arm and wolf. Already,
Wolf's
this is quite a
missing arm,
departure
okay.
from the other Soulsborne games.
Interesting.
A protagonist with a built-in personality and backstory, not the created character you're used to. And you have comparatively less freedom to customize his stats and abilities. But don't worry, there's plenty for Wolf to learn depending on how you play the game. While it's not always an option, level progression offers a lot of room for stealth, allowing you to take down most standard enemies without a fight. There's a whole skill tree for stealth if you want to be sneaky like a good ninja, and a lot of this is achieved with clever mobility. Wolf often utilizes the high ground, for as the Bansenkai advises, it's not in the nature of humans to look up more than 45
The
degrees.
Tanuki no
So he is graceful as Tanuki and stick to the high ground, with help from your Rokugu-approved grappling hook. But at the end of the day, this is a FromSoft game. They're not going to waste these boss designs. You will have to fight, which real shinobi weren't eager to do, but even straightforward combat feels authentically ninjutsu-like, largely thanks to Sekiro's unique health system. Both you and your enemies have effectively 2 HP bars. One is your traditional health, but that's protected by a second posture bar. Assuming you've already used proper stealth to kill the boss's minions and set the field in your favor, your duel with these towering samurai largely depends on you carefully observing, conserving your own energy and parrying their swings to use their own weight against them, then taking out their entire health bar with a few quick strokes once their guard is broken. Like an Iga spy, you want to know how your opponent will attack and get in their heads. Just in this case, since Wolf comes back from the dead, getting curb stomped the first few times is technically just part of his scouting phase. It lends itself to a get-good playstyle more than even Dark Souls or Bloodborne,
Damn.
though there is still some wiggle room when you don't want to play fair. That's where the prosthetic tools come in. Shuriken, firecrackers, smoke bombs, Wolf's got it all. And certain tools can be used to trivialize certain bosses. It can feel a little cheap, but again,
Again,
ninjas
Dark
were
Souls,
not
you're gonna
fighters by
want to do
trade,
it.
and they were not afraid to stack the deck. You even got a teleport that uses feathers from this world's indigenous mist ravens, and the consumable items Wolf uses really shows that the devs were doing their research. As I mentioned earlier, medicine boxes were another one of those 6 essential tools of the ninja, and I like how this game flavors all of the powders and salves used to treat various ailments and conditions.
I mean, it
Among
never hit
all
him
their
right
other
away,
talents,
but
ninja were chemists
kept
and
them going.
apothecaries far ahead of anyone else in feudal Japan. But my favorite item from a historical standpoint is the 5-color rice, which is an item used to set waypoints. And yes, this was a real thing. Some orders of shinobi carried sacks of painted rice, which they could arrange to leave each other coded messages. Guards might look at the ground and see a spilled chipotle side dish, but to the trained eye, this was a correspondence on any changes to the plan. Everything about Wolf, from the tactics in his head to the tools in his gi, is textured with little cultural details, and I could spend all day discussing them. But
Yeah,
that's
that sounds
time
proper.
better spent mastering this parry chain against Genichiro. My first time through this fight was to the bitter end. A few resurrections later, though, it's me executing the perfect plan.
number 2.
Seeing all of Wolf's movement options got me thinking about a section of the Ninja Heathen when I was perusing it for research. Hattori Hanzo emphasizes that a shinobi's mission does not begin when they get to the enemy's castle, and it doesn't end when they've got the information. Ninjas spent weeks, months, even years behind enemy lines. It's not like they could just email the information they stole back to their boss. In fact, so much of ninjutsu was traversal through the wilderness. Maybe I didn't give enough credit to Ryu and his 2D contemporaries for crossing vast distances. With more emphasis on platforming and the enemy rate turned down just a smidge, a game like this could really capture the journey of a devoted ninja. And that's exactly what we get with The Messenger.
Oh,
This
I
throwback to
remember that
90s
game.
ninjatainment begins in a shinobi village, which tells tales of prophecy that one day a western hero will save the world from an army of demons. One young and eager ninja just gets done saying that he doesn't believe in prophecies when, surprise, the demons show up. And
Hi.
for reasons of convenience, this Padawan is tasked with carrying a sacred scroll to the top of a far-off mountain, the significance of which is outside his realm of understanding. He takes the mantle of the messenger and begins his journey east, gaining new tools and abilities along the way with the help of a mysterious and highly sardonic shopkeeper. The departure from any real-world Japan makes it easier for this plot to do its own thing without anachronism. But off the bat, we see a lot of ninja mainstays in the messenger's kit, Like Samsho's Hanzo, the messenger's sword is on the shorter side. Maybe a kodachi or a wakazashi that's much better for mobility than a full-size katana.
From the
first
back,
new ability
could be
he
a
learns
kodachi,
is wall
but
jumping,
we'll see.
achieved not by unexplained ninja powers, but a very practical climbing claw bought from the shop, and shortly after he'll also get some shuriken. The moon jump is a bit more gamey, allowing the messenger to jump again after hitting an enemy or environmental object, but it's just so much fun, and does at least emphasize a ninja's need to scope out the environment and plot a course forward. I've mentioned the Rokugu a few times, but I finally get to mention what the rest of them are, because the messenger has the whole set. Well, except for the medicine box. Wolf is still the best when it comes to first aid. Aside from that though, the Rokugu includes a grappling hook. The messenger has that in the form of a rope dart. Third is the cloth, which served a variety of purposes including dampening sounds and covering a ninja's face. You could say that most of the ninja on this list have that cloth over their face, or this could explain the long scarf some ninja have like Strider or Hanzo, but you could also see that as the messenger's glide suit, allowing him to catch the wind like a flying squirrel. No more impractical than a giant kite, I suppose, but still cool.
Fair.
Fourth was some form of flint or fire starter. The messenger isn't the biggest pyromaniac on this list, but he must have something on hand to light the candle that he uses to get through dark caves. Fifth might surprise you. It's a hat, specifically this badass bamboo sun hat. For a ninja, this was a better way to hide one's face without looking like you're hiding your face. Spoiler alert for the messenger, but he eventually gets a new outfit with a badass bamboo sun hat. Sixth and last, the most simple object recommended to all ninja, a writing implement, be it a piece of charcoal or a stone pencil. This was extremely important because not all information stolen by ninja would already be written down. Sometimes they'd have to take notes themselves, and though we don't actually see this writing implement ourselves, we know the messenger has one once we see what the message he's carrying is. Bigger spoilers now, it's a map. Once our protagonist climbs the mountain, he realizes that the scroll was meant for him all along. He is destined to become the hero of the West that the legend spoke of, and from here on out, he will use this map to find what he needs to defeat the demon armies. No longer a ninja grunt, he is now the strategist, and the game transforms from a linear platformer to a full-on Metroidvania. And seriously, what a cool twist! I'm not used to games keeping their meaningful gameplay hooks so close to the chest for so long. As we traverse this world with a new context, enemies become less of a necessary roadblock to deal with. Now you can circumvent them with your vastly improved movement tech, and travel feels more like you're taking the back roads to lay low while you handle the job. You're also low-key time traveling. It's a little complicated and for the sake of gameplay mostly acts as a light world dark world mechanic, but it comes with an amazing graphical flourish. Up till now, the game was clearly inspired by 8-bit Ninja Gaiden, but whenever you're in the future, the world is portrayed in 16-bit reminiscent of the Shinobi series, complete with a more Genesis-sounding OST. This game really is a love letter to that 80s and 90s ninja
It
boom.
does sound about
The
right.
DLC even dips into tubular territory reflecting TMNT and surf ninjas of all things.
Yeah.
And yet it's less frustrating and more to the point, shockingly more accurate to ninja history. How the hell did they do that? They really just took Ryu Hayabusa and asked, what if he was a real ninja, who used real ninja tools and who honed his skills to get around enemies rather than always killing them? Plus, a neat little detail here, we never actually learned the messenger's real name, fitting for his enigmatic profession. And most importantly, he wears blue!
Real ninja wear blue.
Play that again.
There are more reasons you should play this game than the fitting wardrobe, but for the sake of this list, that means everything. The messenger was destined to be on this list.
Definitely on their spot. Way to go, Messenger. And number one?
At the end of this script, I'm realizing that my approach to this countdown was a lot different than my past works. History is always a factor for me in deciding what characters truly capture the essence of a berserker, or a clown, or a trickster monkey god. But more than any other list, I focused on historical and cultural accuracy with ninja, because there's just a lot of baggage there. We had the ninja boom in the 80s and 90s, and these daredevil villains and mutant turtles never went away. But in the 2010s, we sort of hit a breaking point. I don't know if it was Naruto's orange jumpsuit or all of the reality game shows of idiots falling off of obstacle courses, but suddenly forums erupted into who was and wasn't a ninja, who was stealthy enough and skilled enough to hold that illustrious title. And in the heat of that cultural debate, a little indie game
Mark of the
snuck
Ninja.
in called Mark of the Ninja, almost as if to answer the question of what a shinobi should really be. Funnily enough, we don't actually know the birth names of any of our top 3 ninja. Our number 1 only goes by the moniker Marked Ninja, or alternatively, the Champion, as he is the chosen champion of the Hisomu clan, which, like in many of these games, is a clan from feudal Japan that has secretly continued to operate in the modern day, yada yada yada. But all clans have their little secrets, and theirs is a rare flower, from which can be made a tattoo ink that gives a ninja great strength and perception at the expense of their sanity. Each champion is bestowed these tattoos to act as an elite agent for a limited time, with the understanding that they'll have to be put down before their insanity makes them a danger to the clan. Brutal and not exactly realistic, but Japan has always been a collectivist culture, and real ninja clans did instill a similar philosophy to put the clan before everything else. Also worth noting is that you do a lot of assassination in this game, and I've said a million times, assassination wasn't exactly a shinobi's job. However, that's really the last inauthentic thing I have to say about the champion, as even the brutal kills are just a means to an end of completing each mission as smoothly as possible. Mark of the Ninja wasn't explicitly made to be the most accurate ninja game, but it was explicitly a course correction for the current state of stealth games. Metal Gear Solid, Splinter Cell, all of these so-called stealth games were becoming less about stealth and more about action. If anything, stealth was treated as nothing more than an option in video games. One could forego it completely if they were at all decent with the game's combat system. Mark of the Ninja is all about that secret infiltration, giving you more tools to cover your tracks and punishing you harder for getting caught. Even the so-called bosses are just more important people standing in a less convenient spot. But the champion doesn't sway away from his stealth takedowns. This sentiment is expressed best by the champion's partner, Ora.
Kelly seems to think you'll face him like a glorious samurai. Guess he doesn't know much about ninja.
And despite being pit against more modern, even futuristic security and weaponry, the champion equips himself with the same tools and tricks his ancestors used for centuries, many of which we've seen on this list already. Shurikens, smoke bombs, emphasis on climbing, grappling hooks, light explosions like firecrackers and signal flares meant to cause a distraction. Even the fact that he wears blue, at least in his starting outfit. The black part might just be his long sash, which by the way goes back to the Rokugu, but let me get back to that for a moment, because the champion also has a slew of ninja mainstays that somehow, I can't say for anyone else on this list. For example, picking locks. It's a major mechanic in this game and a major chapter of the Bansenchikai, hardly addressed by any of my 9 previous picks. Same goes for poisons.
They're mostly
if a ninja did have to kill someone, they'd much rather hamper them with a deadly drug than clash steel with them. The Hisomu Terror Dart isn't quite lethal to the person you hit, at least not until you upgrade it, but it induces a psychotropic paranoia that very well might cause friendly fire among the enemy while you secretly sneak away. Champ also has a penchant for traps, like the Spike Mine. And how have none of our other 9 ninja used caltrops? A little more obscure, the champion can basically be Shino and stick bugs on his enemies. Ninja manuals
That or
do in
just
fact
chestnuts.
recommend
You'd be
using
surprised
the
what they can
flora
use.
and fauna to your advantage, such as dislodging beehives. These flesh-eating scarabs are a bit extreme, but they're a great way to hide a dead body before their friends find it. And these dusk moths are great at covering up sources of light without arousing suspicion. It is too bad that the champion can't befriend guard dogs like Shadow or Galford, but hey, no ninja knew every single trick in the book.
True.
No matter what tools you use though, your best friend is the manipulation of sound and light to get the guards moving the way you want them to. This is about as accurate to ninjutsu as you can get. And if you disagree, well, there are unlockable costumes that you can get to change up your skill set so you can be whatever ninja you want. Like the final tattoo in the story lets the champion literally teleport. Or Path of the Hunter makes you that blue spirit from Avatar, and you can rule your enemies' minds through sheer terror. The champion definitely has all the skills, but is that enough for number 1? Maybe not, but I have 2 more arguments of why this game reaches deeper into being a ninja than merely being accurate and competent.
Story mode?
And fun. So that black scarf and the later black outfits. Practically speaking, they're worse than blue, but do you know why ninja in media often wear black? I have been waiting this entire video.
Oh yeah, nowadays it would work.
It's likely because of kabuki theater. In the Edo period and beyond, when ninja were less prevalent, their deeds lived on mostly in show business. In kabuki, it is customary for stagehands to wear all black, to better blend into the black curtain, not unlike most modern theater. Even if the audience could barely see these stagehands, it was easy enough to suspend your disbelief and pretend that they weren't there. But when a story wanted to include a ninja, Often, those actors were also wearing show blacks, creating the artistic effect that an attack had to come from nowhere, and shocking the audience who never expected that guy to actually impact the story. It's kind of a mix of Yonin and Inin. They're disguised as someone you trust or at worst disregard, and they're also kind of invisible. As such, when I watch Mark of the Ninja in motion with a black-clad ninja on a 2D plane, I see it as a piece of theater. Actually, it's more of a tableau. The champion is a realistic shinobi, but on another level, he's a fictitious character meant to communicate to an audience the idea of a shinobi. It's a little hippy-dippy, sure, but I hope some of you get what I mean. And to get more to the plot spoilers, Mark of the Ninja engages with the question of why we don't have ninja anymore. Already we're imagining the Hisomu clan operating much later than any ninja clan in history, and we come to discover that the flowers used to make the champion's magic tattoos are practically extinct. Despite the clan's best efforts, this form of blade and rope espionage just isn't sustainable in the 20th century. And as it turns out, the struggle the clan is having with the Hessian security company is actually orchestrated by the clan's leader, Azai, who in a bid to keep the Hisomu clan relevant, wants to steal their advanced technology and continue their traditions as high-tech pseudo-ninjas, the kind that don't make it on this list at all. In the end, as the mind-warping tattoo ink takes its toll on the champion, we are given a choice. Either kill Azai for his betrayal, or kill Ora and effectively yourself to stop the demon will become. Either way, it's plain to see. Ninjutsu is over. And now, are you ready for me to blow your mind?
Go ahead.
Not too long ago, a man named Jinichi Kawakami stepped forward with an important announcement. Kawakami was already recognized as perhaps the last heir to the Iga and Koga teachings of ninjutsu, taught by the only line of masters that can still be drawn to that historical group.
I'll let you know when I'm done, okay?
He had been recognized as the first professor of ninjutsu at Yale University a year prior. At the age of 63, he stated that he would not be teaching a new heir. He serves as the honorary director of the Iga Ryu Ninja Museum and works to aid the study of ninjutsu as a piece of history. But as far as we can tell, the authentic practice of the shinobi will die with him. He made this announcement in 2012, the same year Mark of the Ninja released.
What are the odds?
This isn't to say that Mark of the Ninja was influenced by this fact, and a Canadian indie dev certainly didn't influence Kawakami, but to me, this game, and the champion by extension, represents a turning point in how we view ninja in media, and in fact in history. As the champion, we step into the shadows. We become ninja. And then we watch ninja end. And it was really fun. I'm the Green Scorpion, and I finally completed my remastered marathon that I said I was gonna do so long ago. Time to do something new. Not positive as to what that is yet, but I hope you'll be there with me. Slide your favorite ninja soundlessly into the comments, and I'll see you all next time. Sayonara.
Sorry. Well, I gotta say, there were a lot of great ninjas. Let me know your favorites, and, well, I'll see you guys around. Sorry for the interruption. Just, busy life, you know. Adios.